Alright. Seems to be another day, so... In between my explorations of Wonderland, I chatted with the Hatter, as she made a certain inquiry. What do you want to go back at home? Or, I can't read. What do you want to go back to? Oh, what do you want to go back to? What do you want to go back to at home? What indeed? Alice Sanders, what was waiting for you at home? I counted off my fingers, 2 sisters, 2 cats, a large empty home, books and tutors. With my sisters Lori and Eddie, I was not particularly close. The older Lorena and the younger Edith, intelligent Lorena and precocious Edith, they seemed to live in their own world apart from Alice. I prefer the cats. A white cat and a black cat. The former was cute, a little beauty like the White Queen, and the latter a little devil. As for the books, our library seemed endless. We had so many books that I could drown. Maybe a pile had collapsed on me and I was dying, suffocating under the pages so terribly that I fell into Wonderland. The tutors would be so mad that the books were ruined. I winced at a phantom stinging the back of my legs. The poor ruler. I could already see it go red. That was my world. A boring, normal, plain world where animals didn't talk and corpses didn't move, where I hadn't needed to think of much at all. I mean, I don't know, you had like a big library. I don't know what era, this takes place in, but I imagine having a giant library, that's for royalty, that's for nobles back in the day when internet didn't exist, we didn't have Wikipedia, we only had books. And if you own like a bunch of books, it means, you have an advantage over the peasants because your brain is so big. Anyway, I was Alice, and that place was Alice's place. I was walking around searching for clues for where their next limbs or even head could be when I heard the sound of conversation. I followed the noise and found the oddest pair, a rabbit and a cat. Well, we saw these before. Ask the Hatter. Hatter? The Mad Hatter? She's more cuckoo than the bird, a real nuisance. The only silver lining is how now that the rat and hare are out of the way, she's become more of a recluse. My ears are still ringing from that time we had to pull peasants off the street to sing for royal guests. The courts have stopped working, the kingdom's falling into anarchy. We've got filth on the ground left and right. Up and down, too. Shut up, you damn cat. Oh. You fucking criminal pretending to be a cat? Wow, White Rabbit is so aggressive. If you weren't so busy, I'd send the cars to chain you up and throw you back into the dungeons where you belong. Scary threats from a rabbit. Listen up. Your name is still on top of the list for execution, cat. Don't think you do whatever you want. Now I got to... Alice. The White Rabbit made a puking sound. The blood drained from her face when she met my eyes. Hello. Did I interrupt a conversation? No, not at all. Hello, Alice. I hope we weren't too loud. The cat and I were just making some small talk. How have you been? Well enough, and you? Well enough as well. Well, what about me? Well, are you well? It depends. I'm cat. I don't get it. What? I'm cat? Hello, I am cat? What? Anyway, the cat's punchline met silence. I didn't get it. Are you two friends? No. Yes. Our circles rarely overlap. We only happened to meet and talk today by coincidence. I'm hurt, Bunny. I thought we were friends. Cheshire Cat, please refrain from giving me unsolicited nicknames. Bunny? You two seem to get along. No, not really. They didn't seem to get along at all. I just like how the White Rabbit thought that she could lie straight to my face about what they were talking about before. Lie. That was what the Queen's courtiers ought to do. Hilarious. After a short 3-way chat, the White Rabbit pulled me to the side for a private conversation. I have an invitation for you, Alice. The White Rabbit reached into her coat, retrieving an envelope from an inner pocket. She held it out to me. The Duchess has invited you to her endless party. If you're interested in attending, It is and will always be held at her manor. I took the outstretched invitation. When is it? On and on indefinitely. Ever since Her Majesty has gone missing, the Duchess has been holed up in her manor holding a grand ball day and night. If I didn't know better, I would think that she was celebrating. But she wouldn't be so foolish. I see. Thank you for the invitation. Tracing an oddly familiar wax seal upon the envelope, I fiddled with the invitation in my hand. I wonder what I had seen it before. I live to serve, Alice. What a relief. A burden has lifted off my shoulders now that this invitation is delivered. If it pleases you to attend, I hope you have an enjoyable time. The Duchess certainly knows how to throw parties. And the nobility of Wonderland, how to party. Kind of weird sentence. A lot of sentences are weird in this game though, so I don't know. I can't tell sometimes if it's a typo or it's intended. Anyway, I tucked the invitation away. Is there anything else? No, that is all. I won't bother you any further. Please excuse me, Alice, and have a nice day. Bowing her head a few times, she made her way away and soon was out of sight. And off she goes. We were talking about something too. That white rabbit, she only cares about the Mad Queen. I've got a little secret about the Red Queen, just a bit of gossip. Do you want to hear? Certainly. I was in a bit of a stump trying to find the rest of the Red Queen. The first two pieces came along quite easily, as if delivered on a silver platter, but now I had to find some more clues. I waited for the cat to speak again, glancing at her flickering tail. She gestured for me to come closer. When I moved in, she flicked me sharply on the forehead, causing me to recoil in surprise and stumble back. Ow. I never said I would say. Try finding me later, Alice. Oh my god. Well, as usual, or not usual, what's the word? I don't know. As defined by the role, Cheshire, she's just a troll, I guess. We got pranked. Before I could respond to her provocation, she disappeared in thin air, leaving a grin floating before me for a short moment before, short moment more rather, not before, after. That is if you can. With a flicker, the grin too vanished. Kinda wanna see that, you know? They didn't draw that, you know? The whole, like, weird Cheshire thing with the grin just lingers beyond the body, I guess. What did the rabbit call her again, Alice? I ran my fingers through my bangs and sighed. Looking around, I was alone on my search again. Okay. You have a choice? That means we save the game? Guess I'll save it here. We have a lot of slots. You know, I never save on the 4th slot. I'm gonna save on the 4th slot just because. Just out of, you know, making sure all the slots are filled. We do have a lot of pages though. I like seeing there are a lot of pages of saves. You never know when you need a bajillion saves. Anyway. I mean, she was mentioning about looking for or knowing something about the Red Queen, right? So we could search for the Cheshire Cat, or you could check out the party that the White Rabbit has mentioned. I don't know actually. I mean, maybe we should complete our objective. So let's search for Cheshire instead of like mucking about and trying to like party, I guess, for no reason. I don't know. And then again, you know, Wonderland logic. It's like maybe you should party, and that's how you actually find the limbs. I don't know. Anyway, I couldn't leave the cat's matter alone. Thinking of her taunting flick, I had no idea where she could be, for she always appeared and disappeared as she pleased. I had a quick chat with the Hatter to find out. Are you acquainted with the Cheshire Cat? Cheshire? Did I say Cheshire or Cheshire? I mean it's Cheshire, right? Cheshire? 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 She's scary. Always stays up in the trees. She's usually around the northern end of the forest. The cat always says she has business so she can't stay for tea. Even though I never invited her? Yes, we're acquaintances, but definitely not friends. If you're looking for that cat, don't bring her back here. We're low on seats as is. Next thing you know, you'll have to be chopped up to fit in a teapot. Ta-ta. The trio of one gave me a jaunty wave. Taking the Hatter's words, I started off to explore the forest's north. I walked down many twists and turns, stumbling across uneven ground. The path was rougher here and the foliage thicker. I found out another living being in sight, no cats nor others. After a while, I reached a place with two signs pointing opposite directions. One read cliff and the other not a cliff. I let out a chuckle that they were straightforward enough signs, but I couldn't see where they led past the bushes blocking beyond their arrows. Ding-ling. The ring of a small bell entered my ears, followed by a clatter of metal shackles. Cheshire Cat? I received no response. Accompanying me here was only the breeze that would sometimes hit the leaves of the trees around me. I heard a soft rustling noise, but when I looked toward the sound, I saw nothing. I tilted my head to look further upward and... the world shifted. The air was pushed out of my lungs. A black and orange blur crashed down on me with a great momentum from the sky, slamming me to the ground. If my head had hit a different way, my skull would have been a cracked egg on the ground. Yeah, that's an easy way to just die, if you fall the wrong way. It's happened to many people in real life. I moved just in time to harshly bang my shoulder instead. I thought I'd get it done in one shot. The blur, the Cheshire Cat, filled my spinning field of view, which was 90 degrees, because I can't increase it in the options menu unless I go into the console and press FOV space 120 or something. Anyway, she wrapped both hands around my neck, digging with her sharp claws. Or nails, rather. Ow. Her left arm flickered in and out of existence as it wasn't really there, creating an unbalanced pressure about my throat. Her grip tightened, drawing blood. I couldn't breathe. She squeezed even tighter. I tried to pry her fingers off of my own. My twitching hands clawed at her constricting grip and even scratched my own neck. More than the pain of the flesh wounds, I was going lightheaded from the lack of air. I just barely forced her off my neck. I wheezed, coughing to catch my breath. She grabbed my collar, grip on the left flickering in and out, slammed me back to the ground after lifting me up a little. But I couldn't even ask why she was doing this as the vertigo overwhelmed me. Yeah, why is she doing this? She just suddenly wants to murder me, I don't know. Kicking and flailing randomly, I managed to push her off for a moment. I had to reorientate myself, get to my feet, and just roll away from her somehow. Which way? Well, we'll save the game. On the second page, wow. Well, the sign did say not a cliff. There's a cliff and not a cliff. Maybe not a cliff is safer because it's not a cliff, right? Not a cliff. I tumbled through bushes, rolling in the direction the sign said was not a cliff. As I made a good distance from the cat, I felt the ground disappear underneath me. Whoosh, it was all air below me. In a desperate flail, I grabbed to a rock on the cliffside with one hand. Well, as it turns out, that was a lie. It was a cliff. How could they? How could they? I should have expected this from Wonderland. My injured shoulder throbbed. As I tried to use that arm's hand for a second point on the cliff, I found that I couldn't pull my weight with that side. And my uninjured side barely clung on. The rock dug into my flesh and my fingers creaked. A trickle of blood started down my palm. The rock as well shuddered as a hairline fracture showed itself. I tried to find a foothold for my legs, but even the slightest swing could throw me downward to my demise. With the angle of the cliff, I had no way to try. I winced. Still here? Cheshire Cat looked down on me. Pacing back and forth, she pretended to contemplate what to do next, while her shoulders shook with mirth. I squeezed my eyes shut to try to block out my dizziness. Why are you doing this? Oh, I had a bit of a revelation that Wonderland was mad, that's all. You and I were all mad. We both seem to have forgotten something very important. Even now, I can't seem to remember what it is. It's just a bout of madness, Alice. I see. Sweat, probably more blood than sweat, made my grip on the rock slippery. Amusement at seeing me struggle showed on the cat's face, as her grin grew and her tail of black flame roared. I don't suppose you helped me up. Depends on what you mean. She extended her right arm and gripped my wrist. With a firm pull, she tore my hand off my rock and held me up by the wrist. She's a very strong cat. I dangled in midair, feeling her lift me upward, and let go. Air whooshed past my ears. Long live the Queen. Reminds me of another Disney movie. Long live the King. I was falling. Crack. And I died. Well. Hey, it's a dead end. Exactly what I was looking for. Gotta get all dead ends, obviously. I see 31% of the script. Good. Alright. Well, let's not do that this time. Let's not roll right straight into a cliff. That'd be a good thing to do, maybe. I don't know. Just a thought. And then, unless this one also goes to a cliff, I don't know. In which case, we just die anyway. I tumbled through the bushes in the direction labeled as cliff. The signs around here had nonsense written on them, many times more than not. As I expected, my chosen direction had no cliff in sight. I shakily got to my feet and watched the cat do so as well. She immediately lunged at me again. This time I was more prepared. I kneed her in the stomach as she approached. I activated my Krav Maga, or what do we call it? The self-defense martial arts? Krav Maga, or even, well, when I think of, kneeing someone, you know, knee strikes, I think of, Muay Thai, you know? Muay Thai, elbow strikes, knee strikes. We go into a Muay Thai stance, and then we shoot, you know, energy beams, I guess. Energy shots. We go, Tiger! Tiger uppercut! I kneed her in the stomach as she approached, grabbing her right shoulder and twisting while hooking my foot on hers. Wow, it really is martial arts. Forcing her arm down, I heard a slight cracking noise that made her fall to the ground with a thump. Remember the basics of CQC. Just in case, I kicked her away a bit. Her body was light like a cat. I'm waiting for an explanation. She started to fade away, but I stepped on her before she could get away. After a quick struggle, she relented and got up to her feet without any further fading. A cat snarled, dusting off her body. I hadn't realized who you were before. My cloak may have a hood, but you've seen my face many times already, Cheshire Cat. Wonderland's twisted up in time. That sort of logic doesn't work here. It's mad. Oh, mad. You might be Alice, but who is Alice? Now that's the question we have to ask. To start with, you don't know anything. Do you even know who you are, Alice? I'm Alice, that is all. That was my sole certainty. But who in the world is Alice? An outsider? A temporary visitor? I've just about figured out the most important part. If you figured it out, I don't suppose you'll tell me. You are... She pressed her hand against her head. Somehow you're much too similar to the Mad Queen. Oh, about that Mad Queen. You've been looking for her, but let me tell you this. She's been dead for a while now. Well, I mean... I already knew that. Cheshire Cat. This is not news to me. Although I think you should already know. Well, yeah. I can't put it into words for some reason. Maybe it's just the way you look at the world, but you're definitely the same type of person. In which way? Are you just trusting some gut feeling, some delusion that I might be the same as someone whom I've never met? Or as you say, someone who is long dead? This world can't afford another Red Queen, not even a chance of one. She vanished, taking the chance in our conversation. Criminals needed to be locked up. I looked all around, hearing the faintest sound of her shackles, telling me that she was nearby, but I could not see her actual presence. So why don't you do me a favor, Alice? Just go ahead and die. Well, I've already died 3 times in parallel universes, so don't worry about that. Her voice danced through the air formlessly. You have no qualification to enact your form of justice, Cat. That really is just like her to say. She appeared behind me and attacked again. So good at doing sneak attacks. We fell to the ground to tussle once more. She clawed at me a few times, but I gradually gained the advantage. The cat favored her right arm. Rather, her left arm acted transient, coming in and out of existence, forcing her to avoid relying on it. Her handicap forced her to falter more now that my numb shoulder did me. She fought like an animal, To be fair, she was an animal. Biting, clawing, and all the like, she came at me with the intent to kill. We continued till we were both bloodied and bruised. I punched her straight in the mouth, ow, causing her to seemingly bite her tongue and choke up a mouthful of red. This is quite the action scene. Despite us just looking at this grass, by the way, as the reader. But anyway, just imagine it, I guess. Her head bounced to the ground, throwing her next moves into disarray. I hit the cat again, and again. Doing this with my bare hands wasn't exhilarating as much as it was just a matter of fact. I had decided that I preferred this nuisance out of my hair. I noticed that her right arm was stitched on. The arm felt familiar as if it didn't belong to the Cheshire Cat. Alice, that cat was also a thief. I wanted that arm. Oh, okay. Save the game. Interesting. We can choose to... Hey, could you please give me that arm, please? Or you can be... just tear it off. Rip it off. What will we do in this situation? Probably rip it off. I mean, what is she gonna do? If we ask for it, you know? It's like... Hey, please, can you take off your arm from me? Okay, here you go. Alright, bye. You know, it's like that. And rip it off. I grabbed hold of the Cheshire Cat right... I can't read. The Cheshire Cat's right arm and pulled. The cat screamed, the arm creaked. Be quiet for a bit, won't you? As I pulled, I heard a myriad of tearing and ripping noises, sounds that human flesh should not make. She screamed herself hoarse, shaking under me. Feeling her erratic gasps, I figured that she could barely breathe. Her eyes dilated, crying. From the gurgling I heard from her throat, I guessed that she might have bitten fully through her tongue. I dug my fingers to the arm even more harshly to wrench it off. Slowly but steadily, I removed the arm from the cat through brute force. With a final squelch, the arm popped off from where it had been attached. Look, this is all self-defense. Don't worry about it. The cat also stopped making noise around that time. Blood splattered all over me, dirtying my clothes and the limb I sought to retrieve. Really a little annoying. The red dripped all over the grass around us. I sat on her prone body for a moment to rest. Looking at my handiwork, I wondered if perhaps I'd gone a little far. However, it was better to get trouble out of the way. I wobbled to my feet. I kicked the body, ascertaining that she was unconscious. Holding the arm in one hand, I dragged the cat along the ground. I left 2 trails of red behind me, one from the cat and one from the recently detached limb. In the direction labeled not a cliff, was a cliff. What a convenient garbage disposal spot. Ah yes, it's like in Hitman, you know? Gotta hide the body, just push it off a cliff. You'll get silent assassin rank if you do so. I held the cat's body as close to the cliff's edge as I could, placing the arm to the ground to free up my hands. I lifted her and flung her off the cliff. An issue was disposed of. Now there was no more Cheshire Cat. I picked up the severed right arm. The limb appeared different now that it was detached from the cat. The broken shackle about its wrist fell off without me having to do a thing. Alice, Alice, did you recognize this arm? Yes, I answered. This was the Red Queen's arm. A jolt of pain burst through my head. I did not know why I knew, and amidst my agony, I did not have the heart to care. I stumbled, clutching my head. The world warped and blurred around me. I felt dizzy looking at the distorted landscape, or perhaps my dizziness itself distorted the landscape into an undulating thing that made me want to vomit. As my adrenaline drained, the result of the fight began to show itself. My whole body felt sore. However, the raging headache pounding at my skull would not subside. Black and red began to fill my vision. Oh, the ground shifted beneath my feet. Maybe. Falling, falling, falling. Alice was falling. And my world turned to darkness, and all I heard was laughter. Thump. Well, back here, I guess. Well, I say back here. Do we move? Or are we just still on the ground? We just took a quick nap, you know? And well, I guess it's really strongly implied, by the way. The cat mentioned how Alice would become the Red Queen or something, so there's some kind of connection there. I mean, I don't know if it's spoilers or not, but the question of like the title of the game, who is the Red Queen? The game is dropping a lot of hints, I feel like, you know. Anyway, I also feel like the whole battle sequence. I don't know. Either I wish they should. I mean, again, this is like a game jam thing, so I don't know. Maybe the game was a little rushed. But I kind of wish they showed a little bit more of the actual combat, I guess. Or otherwise, to be honest, I actually I feel like this game, so far, by the way, I feel like this game could be better. Maybe it's like an RPG, to be honest. I don't know. It just feels like we're walking everywhere. There's combat and everything as well. Even I make some decisions. And actually, like, I don't know. I just feel like it would be better actually as like an RPG game instead. You know, I don't know. That's just how I feel. But anyway, I slowly opened my blurry eyes to the sky. Maybe I'm biased though, because I recently did play like an RPG game that I felt was really good. But a terrible headache battered my skull. I felt as if I had forgotten something very important. So disorientated I was, I had no idea where I was. I patted around me and noticed that I still had the limb I just retrieved me. Well, no, yeah, we just fell on the grass and slept with our bloody arm. Don't worry about it. My head hurt. Hearing footsteps, I pushed myself up to a sitting position and saw her. Okay, interesting. We can choose who we see. What a weird decision. But let's say, we've been spending time with the Hatter. Why not? Let's see the Hatter, I guess. Looking around, I found that I was the Hatter's place. I started to talk only for my throat to feel like sandpaper. Each time I blinked, my eyelids grew heavy again. A chill ran through my body. Uncomfortable, that was all I could say I felt. Although I had experienced quite a bit since coming to Wonderland, I had not thought I would catch a cold. Certainly that fight with the cat had battered me up. Don't speak, Alice. You're burning up, so no tea for you today. It must have been still tea time, for it was always tea time. However, today the Hatter decided to put the tea aside even at tea time for the sick me. She brought a cup of water to my lips, tilting it for me to drink. I drank and choked. Coughing and sputtering, I felt her wipe away the water that had spilled. If you drink too quickly, you'll drown. Yeah, that's it. It is what it's called. That's called drowning, yes. When you drink too much water, I guess. She handed me the cup directly, fingers just barely avoiding mine, but also grasping the cup firmly till she knew I wouldn't drop it. Drink water slowly, Alice. I've got to get something off the stove. Seeing that I had the cup in hand, she hopped off in the direction of the stove. I thought back to when we first met. At that time, the thing on the stove had been a hammer, so I hoped that she would bring back something more pleasant. I sipped from the water cup and waited, setting it aside once I finished. She returned with a bowl of porridge in hand. Okay, this is the sick episode, by the way, the anime, where the main character gets really sick and he's being taken care of by someone else. Sitting down next to me, she scooped up a spoonful of porridge and blew it lightly to cool it down. As the porridge temperature settled, she moved the spoon toward my mouth. I inadvertently opened my mouth like a baby bird. I can eat myself. I would rather you not cannibalize yourself. I get it. You eat yourself. Anyway, she fed me porridge spoonful by spoonful. Once the porridge was finished, she put the bowl away and gave me another cup of water. While letting me sip the water, she wiped away the sweat on my forehead. You're good at taking care of people. Really? I've never quite had... My words drifted off into silence as I thought back to what little I had to say about taking care of others and being taken care of. Hatter, the limb. I'll put it away for you. You know me so well, Hatter, and... I could barely keep my eyes open. Rest well. The Hatter placed a cool, trembling hand on my forehead. Then into the realm of Hypnos I fell. Hypnos. Isn't that like a Greek god? The realm of sleep, After a few days of good rest under the Hatter's care, I recovered to full health. I got full HP, wow. And also leveled up. I was saying, I really feel this game could be more, interactive, if it was like an RPG kind of game. Which is like typical RPG Maker game. I don't know, maybe that's a little cliche. But I have like a bias, for RPG Maker games for some reason. I don't know, it reminds me of the first game I ever played, right? It was Pokemon. I think that was the first game I really played. Really, at least like a full playthrough, I guess, when I was a kid. So maybe that's why I like RPG Maker games. But anyway. I haven't been so sick in years. Thank you, Hatter. What for? Don't linger too long at this crowded place. Off you go. Don't you have some more body parts left to find, Alice? So I do. Seeing me once more healthy, she shooed me away. There we go. I also must say, just another criticism, by the way, but not that I'm a professional game developer or anything. So what do I know? But sometimes the transitions, by the way, are a little too abrupt. I feel like some of them are fine, but some of them are like, when we go back to the forest or whatever, it's just where you go, and then whoosh, and then we're here in the forest. I don't know. I wish it was a more like slower transition to really show the passage of time, right? Because if it happens so quickly, it doesn't feel like time has passed, so it really feels really abrupt. But I don't know. I don't know how much of it is like, intended. Or I mean, it's Wonderland, right? Time is convoluted in Lordran, but also Wonderland, But let's see. The Red Queen was nearly assembled, missing only her head and a fourth limb. Onward, I continued with my search so that she could send me home. I took out the invitation that the White Rabbit had delivered to me. Running my fingers against the paper of the envelope and the imprint on the wax seal, some sort of animal, I tore the invitation open. Inside, I found a card and read it to myself. Alice, the Duchess requests the honor of your presence at her ball. Today, tomorrow, and time eternal. I guess, we didn't have to go to the ball immediately. They're always they're always celebrating there. We can take our time, really. Go there anytime. The Duchess's estate, the manor. You are required to bring a companion. Oh. Flipping the card over, I noticed something of a crudely drawn map. I followed the lines of the map and somehow pinpointed where I was in relation to the manor. I held nothing to bring to a party, nor did I have a readily available guess. I pondered about whether I should go or not, seeing as I could put it off indefinitely. But with the Red Queen's part still missing, perhaps someone there would know. A duchess should have been close to the queen, for example. That, at least, the tutors had mentioned. As for the plus one, my mind wandered to my few human acquaintances in Wonderland. You only have two friends, the Hatter and the White Queen. I feel like we're romancing the Hatter. This is the Hatter route, by the way. We spent a lot of time in the Hatter, so why not? Even though she's crazy, but then again, everybody's crazy. Don't worry about it. Everybody's mad in Wonderland. Plus, she has actually, what do you call this? There's a name for this. I'm just reminded of like an anime, Rose and Maiden, I think. It's like a bunch of dolls, and there's like this one character that says Desu all the time, and she has that like that different colored eyes or whatever. And she became a bit of a meme back in the day, I feel like. Anyway. She even has a fang, She has 2 moe points, That's double the moe points for like an anime girl. So therefore, we pick her, I guess. I returned to the Hatter, who was having her usual tea time, and invited her. Hatter, won't you accompany me to the ball? I rather won't. Alice, did you have to request it that way? I'll trade you a favor for a favor. If you come to the ball with me, I can do something for you. Take some pity. Alice has no friends. No friends, no pets, no siblings, no one, none. Do favors have flavor like butter? I would say I have at least one of the above. What sort of favor would you offer me, Alice? A limb, a tongue, a heart? Alice, you don't have anything that I want that I can't get myself. A cuppa for your sandwich, Alice. Here is the salt. I passed her the pepper as she slid the salt and a cup of tea over to me. Fiddling with the salt container, I tasted a spoonful of humiliation atop my tongue. I got rejected. She can go out with me. I have no friends. I have no friends. She says she has no friends. She really has no friends. You have no friends? What am I? March's favorite old buttersticks? Well, if you would. If you would. She says it. I would really rather not. A hatter doesn't matter around the nobles who just like to flatter. I'm no good with nobles after all, I'm just a hatter. For a second her voice dipped. Hatter is better off here all alone. I barely heard the hatter's low words. It's also tea time. Still, how could we go off to a ball when you've yet to finish afternoon tea? She stirred her tea, watching I slump into my seat and played with the salt. But I rather appreciate you. My heart skipped a beat. Why? Alice, just why did you find that slight smile somewhat charming? Because, as it turns out, this is a Yuri game, by the way. It's true. It's literally listed in the game page. So. But I wonder how it turns out, though, because it's also like a very horror-based gore game. So I don't know how that mixes together. How does that work? Anyway. Clink. The sound my teaspoon hit against the rim of my cup broke me out of my thoughts. I looked down. Putting the cup to my mouth, I took a sip and found that I had put salt into my tea. Terrible. Yeah. I'll accompany you, Alice. When is this ball? Anytime. Oh, it's not very nice of you to say it's not tea time here then. Not very good of you to be biased against tea time, don't you know? We finish off our tea and sandwiches. After a few more sips, I sneakily dumped the salted tea behind my armchair. The Hatter put the Dormouse and Marchair away. After lingering at the tea table for a few moments longer, we got up to leave. She waved goodbye to the puppets, hesitant as if scared of leaving this place. There's definitely a lot of references to I imagine the original novel. I never read it. I only know the Disney movie, and I barely remember Disney. I don't know if I watched it, to be honest. I just know of it, I guess. But I do remember, I think the Marchair and the Dormouse, they were like the other, like, I guess guesses, you know? It weren't puppets, I think, in the novel. It was like real characters, right? Or am I getting that wrong? Anyway. Well, then we used the shoddy map on the back of the invitation card to find a way to the Duchess's place. Though I do believe, I did actually do a little bit of research. I do believe the White Queen, I was kind of confused actually with the White Queen. I know about the Cheshire Cat and the rabbit, right, and the Mad Hatter. Those are very iconic characters in Alice in Wonderland, but I did not know who the White Queen is actually. As it turns out, the White Queen is actually from the sequel, Through the Looking Glass, I believe. And obviously, I also never read that, obviously, but apparently that's where that character comes from. So, this entire visual novel might be a reference to those, to the second book too, as well. I don't know. Anyway, after a walk, we arrive at the manor. The Hatter shook her legs as if just that bit of walking had tired her out. Then again, the bags under her eyes conveyed that she hadn't slept well for a while. A guard stopped us at the entrance. Halt! Please show your invitation card. I handed the guard the card. He looked it over, glancing at me and the Hatter, before returning it to me. The guard gestured and led us inward a few steps through the entranceway. To enter, guests must provide an arm. The arm will be returned to you whenever you wish to leave the party. An arm? A limb? The guard nodded. Please provide an arm. Uncharacteristically, the Hatter said nothing the entire time to the guard. She warily looked at his sheathed sword and shuffled behind me. You may not enter without providing an arm. Alright, this is just a normal thing to do. We just have to go give an arm. The smart thing to do would be to offer the Red Queen's arm instead and trick them, I guess. But wouldn't it be funny if we offered my own arm? That'd be pretty funny, right? Just as a joke. Haha, here's my arm. She's not really gonna take my arm, right? She's gonna be like, he's gonna stamp my arm or something. It's like, just like when you go to like an amusement park or something. At least from what I remember, they put a little stamp on you, to show that you already paid for tickets or something. I don't know, something like that. And they might do that in concerts too, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I never really been to a concert. Except one. I only went to like a Miku concert, because the weeb that I am, because I don't really know any other type of music that I really like, except for obviously weeb music, like anime music or Hatsune Miku music, or Vocaloid, I guess. But anyway, this guard was getting annoying, repetitive. Please provide an arm. Would this arm suffice? I extended my own arm to the guard, goading him to take it. If an arm the entrance required, then an arm I would provide. The guard nodded, leading us to the side and having me keep the arm outstretched above a table. He retrieved a clean, shining blade. Well, I wonder how we're gonna put it back. Can we just... The blade glittered with the sun like the moon. Slash. Ow! With a clean cut, my arm came straight off. It fell to the table with a small bounce. A sharp pain hit me the next moment. I stumbled back into the Hatter, gritting my teeth as the blood rushed out of the wound and dripped red. I could still sense my arm, a phantom pain attached to the bone. Why are we still here? Just to suffer? I clutched at the wound. Although my still attached arm never touched the flesh itself, it soon became covered in blood as it shook near the stump. A doctor arrived with some sort of medicine that she applied to the wound. Ghostly chills covered the hurt till it turned to but an aching. Once the bleeding ceased, she bandaged my injury, warning me not to remove the bandage before I reobtained my arm, shaking her head about mad nobles, and she laughed. Okay, I mean, I guess everyone is just mad. Except the doctor, I guess. The doctor isn't mad. At least not mad enough to understand that you're not supposed to be cutting off your own limbs just to enter a party, I guess. But anyway. Alice, could you reattach such a limb? You weren't a lizard, but a mere human. A little lightheaded, I shook off the question. Alice. The god retrieved my arm, placing it into a sealed box before handing it off to another servant who took it away to a safe place. You may enter, esteemed guests. The guard began to lead us in. Alice, why are you like this? What are you talking about, Hatter? I don't know. What are you talking about, Hatter? What am I like what? We arrived at the Duchess's ballroom. Although the hostess was nowhere to be found, servants milled around the floor with refreshments for the guests. A quartet performed in the front, food sat at the tables to the sides of the room. All around were faceless people dressed up like clowns. Oh no. Clowns! Now this is a true horror game. Not the clowns. Faceless people, they were uninteresting people. They were background characters that don't deserve art. They sent a few glances our way as we came without much fanfare. Already I didn't like them. And also, do they have both their arms? Were we the only one that got our arms chopped off? I feel like, I don't know. No one else got their arms chopped off. I don't know if it was mentioned. Perhaps it was their beady pig-like eyes. For all that they were faceless, I saw only clowns and swine. I approached the group, thinking to gain some information. Hello. Hello to you as well. The guests seemed wary upon seeing me, but showed a displeased reaction upon laying eyes on the Hatter who had reluctantly followed me along. And, the peasant. Which one was it? The one of the vermin. Where are your little raggedy friends? The rat and the hare. The Red Queen's little pet was happy to see them gone. The rabbit's always been like that. Rather than the rutting, she likes the cutting. Ugh, an animal in such a position, I really do not approve. Her Majesty likes it. Well, she's gone now. You shouldn't say that. Oh, okay. Oh, I think the guest is like there's multiple guests speaking at once or something. Oh. Speak of the devil, she will come. A devil indeed. Just a shame that the White Queen's always been a fool. A pretty bird, but as a ruler. The Red Queen liked her well enough, and certainly from the rumors she'd done something quite pleasant. For us, you mean? Don't jinx it. The group stage whispered amongst themselves as they pointed to the Hatter like they were looking at a spectacle. The Hatter at the time was simply staring off into space. Is that lunatic glaring at us? This is the problem of peasants. It's staring at us. My, how uncomfortable. I can't believe the thing rolls around the animals.
Self-voicing enabled.
What? Self-voicing enabled?
Tut-tut.
Tut-tut. Animals are gone. Hold on.
That's the lead.
Okay, turn that off.
Disabled.
Okay, so you can turn text-to-speech. I should just do that, you know? Just don't read anything, just do text-to-speech the entire time. I don't know. I feel like that wouldn't be as fun. Anyway, tut-tut, the animals are all gone. That's the least that Her Majesty has done for her, for us rather, in her pretty red, pretty. I can't read. I got surprised by the text-to-speech, so I can't read now. That's the least that Her Majesty has done for us in her petty red reign of pretty red rain. Now, let's get away from the filth. The stench of vermin is unbearable. I must ask the Duchess about who can be let into her ballroom. A servant passed by with a tray full of champagne. One of the guests removed 2 flutes from the tray and offered me with a slur in her words. Have some alcohol. You have some business with us? No. I shook my head and turned away. Drink should be shared only in pleasant company. Let's take our leave from these people, Hatter. Chitter-chatter, chitter-chatter. I noticed the other guests making snide comments on the Hatter and giving her the side-eye while stepping back from me of all people. Saying those things to my person, someone who is my Hatter, they deserve punishment, capital or otherwise. That was right, Alice. What a shame that I had no such power. If only I was a queen. Or something like that. We moved to the sides where the food was, seeing as few people lingered by refreshments for long. The two of us picked up some cakes and snacks. As I tasted it, I couldn't help but feel that the Hatter made better food. A tingly sensation spread through my body as I ate. Hatter, what is this? Oh, my voice changed pitches as I talked. At one point I sounded squeaky as a mouse, at the next as low as an elephant. Me too. Okay. Playing with all refreshments, we found ourselves speaking like animals. Meow. Woof. Meow meow? Woof woof. Okay. I wonder what she said. She looked so pleased that she had made the world's greatest joke that had just gone unheard. Next, we tried the pudding. Discomfort filled my heart as if something dirty was coming out with each pulse, with each squeeze of the ventricle pushing blood through the aorta. I hate this. I hate you. I don't know how to deal with a bedlamite dog like you. I really hate you. It's Red. The Red's fault. I'll kill. They're dead. Somehow I'm all alone. The Hatter blocked her words and stuffed the cookie to her mouth. Well, okay. I guess that's the pudding makes you, I don't know, really evil. What needs to be done has to be done. Once it's done, we should certainly purge. It's been such a long time. I've got to punish that little bird. And your head will make a good decoration. There's not a worthy cell inside. You're a lunatic and a fool, and putting it over my mouth and clenching my jaw, I shut up as well till the distortion in my heart disappeared. I didn't mean to say any of that. The pudding must have twisted our words. I as well. Added Alice. As we experienced the strange food, the other guests continued to mingle and dance. This was a ball, so ball things they did. The music stopped along with the chatter. It was at this time that the Duchess made her appearance. She was a featureless woman who hid her face. Instinct told me that she was ugly, yet I could not see anything. Not disfigurement nor beauty. She existed as the Duchess but cannot be seen. She was only perceived, so therefore we don't draw any R for her. You know, this is how we save in the budget, by the way. Tonight we have a special gift to be given to a single guest. She gestured, and a servant behind her came up with an item hidden under a red cloth. A hushed whispering ran through the ballroom as everyone guessed at what could be hidden underneath that would make the Duchess consider it special. We are holding a chess tournament. A chess tournament. The usual game that ends with the king has fallen even where the king has long gone. Of course, the winner will receive the prize. The servant removed the cloth, and all around the guests let out a collective gasp. It's a leg. What, you may ask? Why, it could only be our dearest Majesty's leg. There was a severed leg, the Red Queen's left leg. From the looks of the limb, it could fit perfectly onto the torso stump sitting at the Hatter's place. May the best strategist win. The Duchess clapped. Y'all play some chess? You know, I mean, obviously, there definitely is like a motif, you know, Red Queen, White Queen, I guess. Oh, I guess the Red Queen, well, the Red Queen, I imagine, is based on the playing cards, actually. I don't know. But I guess the White Queen definitely would be like a chess metaphor, right? Or at least a reference to chess. Anyway. The servants began to move out, setting up tables and chess sets in a matter of minutes. With a matchup list created, the tournament started. Wow, a real chess tournament. I mean, chess is pretty popular on Twitch, I think. You know, recently these days, a lot of people make content about it. I don't know why there was a renaissance of chess, but I guess there was. I was never good at chess, really. I only learned how all the chesses move, you know, all the pieces move. But I don't know any strategy. You know, there's all these like little strategies you need to do. I don't know any of that. I just know the horsey moves like in an L, you know, and the castle moves in in straight directions, and the bishop goes diagonally, you know, and the queen moves everywhere. You know, that's all I know. Anyway, as I made my moves with the Hatter, I thought back to all the chess I had played for the tutors. They would be relieved that at least I hadn't forgotten anything and everything. Losing each time had been a painful ordeal, so I too was glad that I remembered. The Hatter had a brilliant strategic mind. I watched as she slung her queen into a crowd of pawns only for it to be eaten alive. Most of the time. You know, my strategy actually, if I had one strategy, you know, Back in like probably like middle school or something, when I played with people who probably did not know how to play chess either, what I usually used to do was make like a wall. I just made my pawns line up on the board, just move up my pawn every single turn, and it's like, haha, I made a wall, and it's unpenetrable because it's a wall, right? Get it? I don't know. It's like I made like a formation of my troops, but obviously that's not really like a sound strategy. I just like the way it looked. I just move everybody up one space. I don't know. We made our way to the finals, where we met with the last opponent not at the table, but in a cleared out space in the ballroom with a large chessboard overlaid. The last opponent was the Duchess. Around her lineup stood 1 1/3 dozen soldiers dressed up in black like chess pieces. What is this? Why, human chess. It's like role playing, It's like LARPing. You're gonna LARP like a real chess battlefield or something. Chess is an imitation of bloody war. In this land without war, we must take steps to make life more interesting. It's like sports, That is what Her Dearest Majesty proclaimed. One of you two have to take the role of a piece, and otherwise I will provide the other pieces for you to play with. I exchanged glances with the Hatter. Even now I couldn't understand what went on in those eyes, but I had already decided. Maybe I didn't want to see her potentially get hurt, as no one here cared for the life of a Hatter. Oddest and odder would have thought to have. I rather liked her. I will take the role of a piece. And we get to choose. Interesting. Well, let's save the game. The king is the most important piece. If you lose the king, you lose anyway, right? And I can imagine this like real life human chess. It's probably going to involve like real death. So I guess either way we'll die. The queen is the strongest piece as well. From the little chess streams that I watch, the queen definitely does tend to get sacrificed though. Even though it's the strongest piece, it tends to be sacrificed a lot, for some reason. You think you want to save the queen, but you gotta save the king instead, so you sacrifice the queen, I guess. But I'm totally not looking at a guide. And I'm gonna choose the queen, don't worry about it. We're gonna be the strongest piece. Obviously we'd be the strongest, right? And therefore the best. We'll never be defeated. I chose to take the queen piece's role, for the queen had the greatest power on the board. I donned a fake white crown and was given a sword. Our white pieces shuffled in and took their positions on the board. Soon enough the chessboard was set. A human-sized version of the strategy game unfolded. The Hatter started with the first move. Clang, clash. One by one the pieces on the board fell, almost like dominoes. Perhaps knight to... No. A piece on the board cannot speak. We are the players and you are but a game piece. Finally, the queen came into play. Okay, so we don't get to strategize. That's not so good. Wasn't the Mad Hatter not that great at it or something? I don't know. The game had proceeded smoothly. The Hatter did not use me much. I sometimes started wildly back and forth between my knot arm and the board. Blood splattered across the ballroom chessboard as some pieces hit their opponents harder than the others. The servants had to move them off the floor. Click-clack, the sound of chess. Today was clang-clash. Queen to f6. At the f6 position stood the Duchess's black queen piece. The hulking female knight with cartoonish black crown eyed me as the Hatter spoke. I moved across the board, readying my sword to knock her down. My one-handed grip on the sword felt weak. The loss, even if temporarily, of an arm threw off my balance. The blood loss left a lingering lightheadedness. Yeah, we don't have an arm, by the way. That's not very good. I attacked only for my sword to be thrown out of my hand by the black queen piece's parry. To make a show, the pieces had pretended to act out a fight each time one was to be taken down. The black queen took that mistake as my loss in the confrontation, decided that the move must have belonged to her. She lifted her sword and cut me right open with a great slash. Okay, alright, good. Everyone else was pretending to, like, fight each other, but we just get murdered? That seems a little unfair. Oh. Well, this is unfortunate. The black queen stabbed me again in the stomach. With a squelch, the blade pierced in, exited out from my back, before being pulled out along the things that weren't meant to come out, like my guts. Ugh. Well, The gurgling noise escaped from my throat. I felt chunks move up my windpipe as I choked in my mouth. This iron fleshy sensation surely wasn't a good sign. This is cheating, by the way. You know, I did say the Mad Hatter wasn't good. I don't know, maybe I read the log wrong. Or maybe they are good at the chess. But, we were supposed to capture the queen, but we got murdered? Can't do that. So, it's like, again, it's like back in middle school, where it's like you try to capture the... We try to, like, play, but then you just cheat, I guess. You're just like, no, that doesn't count. And they slap the pieces away or something. I don't know. I grabbed my abdomen as the Black Queen stabbed me again. Black spots filled my vision. I slumped to the ground, unable to get back up. Red poured out from underneath me onto the checkered board. Alice, Alice, you were just gutted like a fish. Is this how our game ends? Is that how it works? I don't know. Oh well. Time to go home, I guess. What a strange ball. Alright. Well, let's not do that, I guess. Alright. Let's not let that happen this time. Let's go... Well, there's a few branches, I feel like. We could go back here and choose king instead, or we go back here instead and not cut off our arm. It's probably a good idea not to cut off our arm. Let's do that. Alright, so let's go back to when we enter the ballroom. Let's just not give our own arm this time. Probably a good idea. I mean, we're gonna get it back, right? Assuming they're not lying to us, you know? I crossed my arms and tapped my feet as the guard repeated his blocking words a handful of times more. While the thought of offering my own limb came up, I decided against it. As such, we need to find another arm to give. While I'm loath to suggest this, but we do have a spare arm back at the tea table. Her Majesty surely wouldn't mind, don't you think? Sorry, just sipping on some water. Yes, indeed. She had no tongue to speak otherwise. With that, we made a trip back to the Hatter's place. The Hatter hopped over the dog cage we had set by the Red Queen. Popping it open, she pulled out a severed arm and quickly slammed the door shut. The limb flailed in the Hatter's hand till she unceremoniously tossed it to me. This was the Red Queen's arm. I never quite thought that I would accompany Her Majesty to a ball. Gives me the shivers. To me, it felt so obvious that this was the Red Queen's arm. I wonder if someone will recognize the arm. We could certainly be in a good deal of trouble. And I would prefer not to have the trouble getting the arm back if someone tries to take it away. They won't with Wonderland. They wouldn't want to recognize it anyhow. I've been here for a while, but still this logic fascinates me. Wonderland. We took a tea break. According to the Hatter, it was still tea time after all. Shall we go on to the ball, milady? Although I'm afraid I got no pumpkin carriage nor glass slippers for you. You're charming enough as is. Lead the way, Alice. Arm in hand, we returned to the Duchess's manor. The guard greeted us with the same phrases, asking for an arm as the entrance fee, to which we responded by handing over the arm that we had retrieved. He glanced at both of us, noting that neither of us were missing a limb. The guard handed it off to a servant who put it in a sealed box and took it away for safekeeping nonetheless. You may enter, esteemed guests. Alright, and this is mostly the same, I imagine? Yep, the same. Alright, back at the chess game. Now that we have an arm, maybe we should still be the queen? Let's see, I mean... or we could just be the king. Really depends on what we want to do, I guess. I don't know, actually. Now we should be the queen. This time maybe that other queen won't, like, parry us. You know, wouldn't that be great? I chose to take the queen's pieces role for the queen had the greatest power. Alright, and then... what was that? Oh yeah, finally the queen came into play. I played the sword in my hand. The hilt rolled comfortably in my palm. Pleasant yet strange that I didn't use a sword much, which I didn't, but was still perfectly fine with committing acts of violence with one. You don't say. Now, swordsmanship was one thing the tutors hadn't bothered teaching. After all, it wasn't fitting for a lady. They really should have I really should have, as it turned out that I was quite good at cutting things down after some short exhibition blows. The Hatter directed me across the board and I attacked as Toad. Warm, sticky red sprayed all over me. I thought we were play fighting, but no. What do you call yourself these days again? Alice? I see. Okay. We moved around the board in a perfect match, letting our other pieces back me up, and cornered the Duchess's Black King in no time. Checkmate? Checkmate. I wondered if I had killed a king before. The Duchess clapped her hands in congratulations. The servants cleared the floor. Wiping it down, they made it once more sparkly clean, as if the red had not just been spilled in a human facsimile of the game. And don't worry about the corpses. We'll just throw them off the cliff as well, with the cat. One came along with a wet towel for me to wipe away anything that had gotten on me during the match. Congratulations, you are a true pair of master strategists. With this, the competition has concluded and you two are the winners. Would you like to take your prize now? Yes. The Hatter bobbed her head up and down rapidly. The Duchess gestured to serve it over. Our dearest Majesty's leg. Do take care of it. Well, lest she comes back and has you punished for disrespecting the crown. She took the leg from the servant and handed it to me. I hope you enjoy the rest of the ball. The Duchess left again with her servant following after her. She seemed to have enjoyed the chess tournament. Just as quickly as she left, the chess setups were cleared away. The guests returned to eating, drinking, and dancing. Let's leave. She had no intention to stay, neither had I, having accomplished the unexpected boon of finding a piece of the Red Queen. We found a servant to leave and were redirected outward. He retrieved a sealed box with our entrance fee and handed it over. We exited the building and came to a garden. We had taken a wrong turn. Looking around, we spotted an exit at the far end of the garden, and the Hatter made a move to leave. I called out to stop her, extending a hand. We didn't have a chance to dance. Won't you give me the honor of one dance, Hatter? I won't. Maybe just one, with you, Alice. I can't dance. I'm dexterous with my hands, but not so much with my feet. Hatter doesn't fit well with these things. Isn't that a problem? She hesitantly stretched out her hand, fingers hovering over mine. Don't worry, let me lead. I took her hand and we danced. Humming in place of an instrumental quartet, I led her in steady steps, ignoring the way she stumbled over my feet. Left, right, left, right. Perhaps this was the most enjoyable dance I had yet. I twirled the Hatter around and she was so light. Alice. Alice. Hatter. You might not be so bad after all. She made the expression like she wanted to cry. I rather like you, Alice. Only Alice. I rather liked her too. I gave her another twirl as she let go. I reached out my fingers, but she moved her hand away. The Hatters hopped back with a skip and a spin. Thus she stood by her lonesome. Close your eyes, Alice. And then she took out her hammer and then killed me again. I did as she said. I felt her roughly stuff the leg into my arms. I heard a faint tapping noise, reminiscent of footsteps moving away from me, and then there was nothing. I waited and waited and waited. Alice, how long did you want to wait for her? I waited a long time, clutching the leg in my hands. When I opened my eyes, the Hatter was nowhere to be seen. Did she leave me behind? Although I walked around the garden, she was nowhere to be found. I decided to leave as well. Taking one last pass through the garden, I made my way through the exit. Alright, just gave me the leg and went away. A sudden vertigo struck me. I must have had a long day. I reasoned as I held my hand to my forehead while trying to steady myself. My brain spun like a sloshed up pit of mud. The discomfort in my heart returned. I leaned back against a tree to take a break, looking upward, eyelids flickering. I wondered if the sky had always looked so far away. My free hand propped against the bark slid downward unconsciously.